Hi, so let's take a second look at integers. So we look at adding and subtracting integers, multiplying and dividing them, evaluating expressions using integers, and use integers in applications. Now, I hope all of this is really very easy review for you. I'm just going over these things to make sure that we all are starting on the same page. So let's get going here. When you're going to add integers, you just need to keep, if you're adding two integers, you just need to keep in mind whether or not they have the same sign or if they have different signs. Doesn't matter if this one is a negative and that one is a positive. If they have different signs, then you subtract them and the result takes the sign of the larger of the two. And when I say the larger of the two, I mean the one with the largest absolute value. So for example, I have 19 and minus 6. Well, 19 has the larger absolute value, so this becomes positive. And here 5 and minus 14, well, this has the larger absolute value, and so then the answer will be negative. So notice what we do. If the signs are the same, we just add the absolute values. So 2 plus 3 is 5, and the sign continues as is. Here the two numbers are negative, minus 6 plus a minus 7. Well, that gives, you add the absolute values, 6 plus 7, 13, and then you check, well, the signs were both negative, so the answer has to have a negative sign also. So make sure you read this. And coming back here, if they have opposite signs, notice it doesn't matter if it's the first one or the second one, they're different. So I'm adding these two numbers and they have different signs. Well, I subtract the absolute values. So that gives me 13. And then I check which of these has the larger absolute value. This one, what was its sign? Positive, so this is positive. Likewise here, these two have different signs, so I subtract the absolute values. That gives me 9, and I check which of these has the larger absolute value. This one, what was its sign? Negative, so then this is negative. So some of you by now hopefully do this just intuitively, and I hope this is very easy for you. Let me know if you have trouble with this. So that's adding integers. Now subtracting. If the subtraction is obvious, like 5 minus 3, then you just do, what I'm sure you know how to do. 5 minus 3 is 2. But sometimes subtracting can get a little tricky when you have different signs involved. The minute the subtraction looks like dicey, just change the subtraction to addition, notice, and then change the sign of the rightmost number, and then go back to the rules for addition. So in a sense, you only have to know the addition rules, because subtraction, the minute it gets tricky, you just treat the subtraction as an addition. So notice, let's take a look at this case here. Minus 8 minus 17. So sometimes to make this clearer, we can put these in parentheses, minus 8 and then 17 in parentheses. So if this looks complicated to you, well, just change this to addition, and then you change the sign of this one. And notice now, it's just a simple matter of saying what? Well, it's addition, the same sign. We add the absolute values, 25, we check, and we keep the sign minus. So it's minus 25. Likewise here, you change this to addition, and then this to addition also. That becomes 5 plus 6, 11. And here, 3 minus 8. So again, most of you can probably just look at this and say, well, 3 minus 8 is negative 5. But if you need a few rules to work with, well, then again, just change this to an addition, and then change the sign of the rightmost number. So this was positive, so it becomes negative. 3 plus a negative 8 is negative 5. So I hope this is something you mastered from standard 6, so. But this one, just in case you haven't been in school for a while and you haven't thought about these things, let's hope this little refresher helps you. So here we're looking at multiplication and division. When it comes to the sign, all you need to remember for multiplication and division is if the signs are the same, the result will be positive. Notice it'll be positive once the signs are the same, and if the signs are different, then the result will be negative. So here we have 5 times a negative 3, So the result would be a negative 15. Negative 6 divided by 3, the result would be a negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 3, notice these have the same sign, so the result has to be positive. So once the signs are the same, of course if they were both positive, the answer would be positive also. So I didn't include that example here. And then of course minus 15 divided by negative 5 is 3. Right? The signs are the same. So let me know if you have difficulty with this, guys. Right? So now we're going to look at evaluating a variable expression with integers. So what do we do to evaluate this? Well, wherever we see a x, we put 2, and wherever we see a y, we put a minus 1. So that's what I have here, right? 4 times 2 squared plus 3 times 2 times a negative 1, and so on. And so then we just continue here. 2 squared is 4. This gives me all of this gives me a minus 6. And then this gives me a 5. Remember, negative 1 squared is 5. Sorry, negative 1 squared is 1 times 5 is 5. And then, so now here we have 16, here we have a minus 6, and here we have 5. And so that gives us 15. And then we look at this example here. So the temperature in Kendallville, Indiana, one morning was 11 degrees. By mid-afternoon, the temperature had dropped to minus 9 degrees. What was the difference in the morning and afternoon temperatures? Normally when you're asked for the difference, you're kind of expected to take the final value and subtract the initial value. Now that's not a very formal rule for the word difference. So if you had said 11 minus a negative 9, giving you plus 20, that would not be a great sin, you know. However, as we'll see later on, especially in other courses, you'll see in other courses, when they use the word change, you should take the final and subtract from the final the initial value. So that's what I do here. Whenever I'm working with differences, unless I have a special reason for not doing so, I always take the final and subtract the initial. So here what we should do is say, well, the final value was minus 9, the initial value is 11, we want the difference, which is the change, which gives us a minus 20. So be aware, right, if you had said 11 minus a negative 9, you'd have gotten plus 20. And that's the end of this little discussion on integers then. Bye for now.